Now, do you know about the leukotriene synthesis? So this eicosanoid synthesis. Do you all know? Be quick.
Yes.
So I told you first it is this eicosanoid synthesis. First step is to removal of lipid, extraction of lipid from membrane, and that this lipid is extraction is done by phospholipase A2 from membrane, and the lipid is mainly arachidonic acid. It is a 20 carbon compound fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acid, 4 double bond it has got. So arachidonic acid when it is extracted, based on the enzyme present inside cell, it will either convert into prostaglandins. The enzyme, if there is cyclooxygenase enzyme is present, it will convert into prostanoids, and then if the enzyme is lipoxygenase, then the compound produced is very simple: lipoxin and leukotrienes. Lipoxins and leukotrienes. So this is very simple. Synthesis is very simple. First extraction of lipid from membrane, and then this two, based on which enzyme present, the following molecule will be formed. So prostanoids again are of two types: prostaglandins and then thromboxanes. Here you can see here also two types of compounds are generated because of lipoxygenase pathway, and lipoxins are anti-inflammatory. I told you what is inflammation is, and this is inflammatory, pro-inflammatory or inflammatory. And this compound prostanoids, they are inflammatory plus they have physiological function as well. Inflammation plus physiological function. So these are the overview we talked about last day. Now you can see this this cyclooxygenase. That's the second part of the enzyme, COX. It is also of two types, COX1 and 2. And this COX1 is a constitutive enzyme that is always present in the body, and this COX1 performs, it is responsible for physiological function. And this COX2 is responsible for inflammatory function. As I told you, two functions are there, inflammatory function. And this COX2 is inducible. Inducible means it can be activated. The enzyme concentration inside the cell can be increased. Inside macrophages, inside mast cells, these cells, the enzyme concentration, COX2, can be increased, and then inflammation can be increased. When there is attack of bacteria or some other foreign agent, then this COX2 will be increased. So today we will begin from this. You can see these two types of COX enzymes are there, COX1 and COX2. So COX2 can be activated by these chemicals. Cytokines, endotoxins are derived from bacteria, growth factors, and tumor promoters. These growth factors, they stimulate. These are the inflammatory. These are also some part of inflammatory mediators. So they are actually expressed during disease condition. So they will express this COX2 level. So this enzyme level inside cell of certain immunological cells, for example, mast cells, macrophages, and other immunological cells, epithelial cells, those cells, this COX2 will increase. And because of increase in this COX2, there will be high level of synthesis of prostaglandins, and that prostaglandins mediate inflammation. And what is inflammation? You can see this COX2 can be induced, and they are present in this tissues, sites of inflammation, inflammatory cells. They are present in inflammatory cells. Some are also present in brain and kidney. And what does this COX2 do? This COX2 is involved in inflammation. What is inflammation? I already told you. Inflammation is marked by these 5 features. This is the different terminology. Calor means heat, high temperature, heat, calorie. Dolor means pain, and rubor means redness. and then tumor means swelling, and then functionality means loss of function. So these 5 features are particular features of inflammation. So this inflammation is associated with COX-2 activity and this prostaglandins. These are the constitutive enzymes are responsible. This constitutive COX-1 is responsible for normal functioning. You can see these are COX-1. So there is no inducer like this. This will be produced and then normally produced inside our cell. For example, our stomach, these are normally produced. These prostaglandins are normally produced, and they actually protect our gastric mucosa by secretion of gas, by decreasing the secretion of gastric acid, and it increases the secretion of gastric juice, other mucus of gas in the in your stomach. So that is how, by secreting high level of mucus and decrease in secretion of acid, mucous membrane of stomach will be protected by COX-1 generated this prostaglandins. So these are protector of our body. They are involved in normal function, but these are involved in inflammation. COX-2 generated prostaglandins are involved in inflammation. This prostaglandins as such are not different between, but the production site of production is different. That makes this different. And site and condition of production. When there is inflammation, then only it will be produced, and it will cause many problems. So we will talk about those problems, physiological as well as pathological. We will talk about that. So you can see some certain drugs we use in pharmacological as pharmacological agent will inhibit these enzymes. They are very important drugs. Some corticosteroid drugs, all corticosteroid, that is a cortisol, it will inhibit this first enzyme that will release this arachidonic acid from phospholipid membrane. So this enzyme is phospholipase A2 is inhibited by glucocorticoids or corticoids, that is called cortisol. So cortisol inhibits this enzyme. When you give cortisol, this will inhibit this enzyme. Now second very important compound is an aspirin like compound, like aspirin and other ibuprofen. These all compounds, they will inhibit both this COX-1 and COX-2. So cyclooxygenase enzyme will be inhibited by your painkiller that you take every day, and if they inhibit this, that is good for our actually that will relieve inflammation. But when this, at the same time, they also inhibit COX-1, and because of that, what will happen? Gastric mucus secretion will be inhibited, as gastric acid secretion will be enhanced, and that will damage our gastric mucosa. So these are drug side effect of this drug is gastric erosion, that is gastric erosion, gastritis and ulcer. So side effect of this drug, and it wherever there is normal function of prostaglandin is present, this normal function of prostaglandin will be inhibited by this, not only gastric mucosa but also in kidney. So these drugs have good effect here, but at the same time, because of inhibition of COX-1, there will be side effect of these drugs. So you, at the same time, if you remember the mechanism, you remember good effect plus side effect also. So these are the drugs, aspirin, indomethacin. These are called non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug. Non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug. Anti-inflammatory drug, AID, NSAID, non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug, aspirin, remember. So constitutive means always active, that is present in for normal function, and this non-constitutive is facultative. So these two type of enzymes, so you can see this phospholipase A2, okay, will be activated by this all enzyme, all hormones, but inhibited by drugs or enzyme hormones. Normally steroid is also secreted from adrenal cortex, but you can give that steroid as drug. So this is steroid inhibit the phospholipase A2, and phospholipase A2 is will be stimulated by this all hormones. These are hormones. So remember epinephrine, thrombin, and then angiotensin, bradykinin, these all will activate this phospholipase, will cause release of arachidonic acid. Now cyclooxygenase 2, COX-2, will be inhibited by non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs. Not only COX-2, but also COX-1 will be inhibited by this and activated by this. So activate this catecholamines, activate COX-2 only, because COX-2 is inducible, and it can be inhibited. This both COX-1 and COX-2 will be inhibited by this NSAID. So remember, this two drug is very important: steroid and drugs and anti-inflammatory drugs. This will inhibit phospholipase A2, and this NSAID will inhibit this COX, cyclooxygenase, both cyclooxygenase. Now you can see this. This is the summary. You can see first level is release of, this is arachidonic acid. You can see 4 double bond and this 20 carbon compound. And this arachidonic acid will be converted into prostaglandin H2, G then H. So this prostaglandin H2 will be converted into respective prostaglandins depending on the tissue. So in some tissue, the prostaglandin will convert into this because of presence of different enzyme for that. And certain tissue it will be converted into prostaglandin D2. Some tissue it will be converted into prostaglandin E2. Some tissue it will be converted into prostaglandin I. And then because of, based on tissue, which enzyme is present, and this prostaglandin H2 will be converted into this. So this is two are the common step for all tissue, and this is a specific step for the tissue. And this specific stage is catalyzed by tissue specific isomerase. So this will cause isomerization. This prostaglandin H2 will be isomerized to prostaglandin thromboxane A2, prostaglandin D2, E2, I2, and F12. Did you all understand up to this prostaglandin synthesis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are 3 steps of prostaglandin synthesis. Remember these 3 steps. So let's talk about physiological effect. Okay. So you will understand physiology. These are physiological effect. You will see. We will talk about physiological effect in these 5 tissues. And this, if you understand this 5 tissue, you will understand those NSAID will inhibit this function also. And these are the side effects. The inhibition of normal function will be side effect, and inhibition of inflammation is the good effect that we intend. And then you can see this CBS, cardiovascular system. Which prostaglandins is involved? This prostaglandin E and I. So you will see everywhere EI will come, mainly EI, and then extra is there thromboxane A2. You can see you can remember this thromboxane from platelet thrombocytes. So thromboxane means it clump platelet. Thrombocyte clumping, inflammatory thrombocyte clumping prostanoid is called thromboxane A2. You can remember that way. From thromboxane A2, and then from prostaglandin I2. This is called I2 is called prostacyclin also. This is the same molecule is called prostacyclin. Remember, prostacyclin. The same molecule. Prostaglandin I2 is called prostacyclin, and this prostaglandin E is very simple type of. We will talk about this. GI, you can see GI also E2 and I. Here also you can see renal also E2 and I. You can see in pulmonary, you can see E2 and F, E2 and F2. And here pulmonary and reproductive, you can see EF. Pulmonary and reproductive, E2F, and GI and renal, and CVS, you can see E and I, EI. So you can, I'll give you this mnemonics. What are the function of this prostaglandins? You will understand very easily. So I, remember I is for innocent, and I is for innocent, and that do good and beneficial effect for the CBS. I for innocent, and I, other meaning of I, you can take it as inhibit platelet aggregation. So I is innocent and inhibit platelet aggregation. Remember, E is easy. So E is easy. So it causes ease. And F is force. F causes forceful contraction like thing. We'll see. So F is force, F is to force, and E is to ease and easy. And D for dilatation, vasodilatation. And sometimes in bronchus it will cause bronchoconstriction. Elsewhere it will cause dilatation. So D for dilatation. And you can remember one extra function, constriction, bronchoconstriction. So will you remember this I for, what is I for?
Innocent.
Innocent. And then E for
Easy.
is easy. And F for force. And then innocent and inhibit platelet clumping. Inhibit platelet. And what else is remained? D. D is dilatation plus
constriction in the bronchus.
Yeah, bronchoconstriction. So remember these three mnemonics. So D, we have taken mnemonics for D, E, and F, and then plus I. D, E, F plus I. So these are four prostaglandins are there in our body. That is very important. And what is thromboxane A2? Thromboxane, what is the function of this thromboxane? Only one function. What is that function?
Platelets, inhibits platelet aggregation.
No, thrombocytes clumping. Thromboxane. Okay, it clumps thrombocytes. It causes thrombocyte means platelet aggregation. Thromboxane A2 causes platelet aggregation. Remember, if you remember this much, that is done. No, you don't have to remember many things now. So this will be applied. This mnemonics will be applied everywhere. So you can see this in this E will cause ease to CVS system. It will cause good, anyway, it will cause good thing to CVS system. I2 will also do good thing, but this will do bad because of platelet aggregation. Now GI system, this will do ease. This will do good to GI system, and IV, this is also I2 also do good to GI system. So that means this two system will increase mucus secretion, mucus, and decrease acid secretion. So combined effect will be GI protection. Now in pulmonary function, you can see E for ease. So it will cause bronchodilation. Pulmonary function, it will cause good to pulmonary. And then F, it will cause bronchoconstriction. Now you can see E here in reproductive system, pulmonary system and in reproductive system, you have E and F. E will cause ease and F will cause force. So we will talk about pulmonary system, reproductive system, uterine. We will see reproductive system in context of uterine contraction during pregnancy and other time. In renal system, you see E is also ease, and so both will do good. In GI and renal, both will protect GI and renal system. Now let's start with this. So CVS system, you can see. So CVS system, what is there? So thromboxane A2. This is thromboxane A2 will cause platelet aggregation. And platelet aggregation is something, vasoconstriction and platelet aggregation. That actually increases the CVS risk. It increases CVS morbidity, disease in CVS. So thromboxane actually is bad for CVS. Now this enzyme, prostacyclin, is opposite of thromboxane. This is opposite of thromboxane. What does it do? Vasodilatation, anti-platelet aggregation. So it is an innocent and it inhibits platelet aggregation. It does good to CVS. So remember, if you remember, vasodilatation and anti-platelet activity will make this prostacyclin good for CVS. It is good for CVS. It increases CVS health. Did you remember the function of this two? And prostaglandin E2 are vasodilator. That is why it will also, in normal concentration, it will help CVS like this. This is the friend of this. Prostaglandin I2, potent inhibitor of platelet aggregation. Thus, prostaglandin I2 has proved useful for harvesting and storage of blood platelet for therapeutic treatment. This is one more implication of this. So did you all understand this function of prostaglandins and prostanoids in CVS system?
Yes, sir.
And this aspirin can inhibit both. So aspirin is used for cardiovascular system. You will study in pharmacology, CVS system. Aspirin is very important. Today also in low dose, aspirin is utilized for CVS system. Now you can see for GI secretion. I told you prostaglandin E2 and I2, they are good for GI system. They actually increases the cytoprotective effect, inhibit gastric acid secretion, and increase mucus secretion. Increase CAMP, increase mucus secretion and protein synthesis also, and that is how it will increases the GI protection. So it prevents person from gastric ulcer. But what if aspirin is added? What will happen? This will be inhibited. So opposite effect, there will be breach in gas protection. So if gastric mucosa is not protected, this aspirin, side effect of aspirin will be peptic ulcer. So drug like NSAID and cortisol, because cortisol also affects A2, and if it inhibits A2, this will not be produced, and that is why these two drugs will inhibitors of prostaglandin and cause peptic ulcer. Pulmonary, you can see the prostaglandin E2, and these are bronchodilators, do good to pulmonary system. If it dilates, so air will large amount of air will go into lungs, and it will be good for lungs. But F will cause bronchoconstriction. Prostaglandin F will cause bronchoconstriction, and this bronchoconstriction is not good for pulmonary system. It will causes less air to go into lungs. So you can see this reproductive system, pulmonary and reproductive system. You can it causes relaxation and it causes contraction, but in non-pregnant. But during pregnancy, both will cause good effect for pregnant women. Both E2 and F2 will work together for pregnant uterus. It will cause parturition, it will cause birth of the baby. Both E2 and F2 will cause birth of the baby during pregnancy, but during non-pregnant, they are opposite. So role in promoting labor. And if this concentration is too high, if some drugs that are very similar to E2 and F2 is given to that pregnant women, that can cause abortion. Okay, that can cause abortion, and this type of drugs is being used in the market. It is there in market. So if these two prostaglandins are high in the body, then it can cause miscarriages. And maintaining this ductus arteriosus. Do you know ductus arteriosus? This is the normal artery that join this pulmonary artery with what? Aorta. This is ductus arteriosus. So patency of ductus arteriosus is required during fetal life, and this two prostaglandins maintains the patency of ductus arteriosus. So this is also very important. Prostaglandin maintains the patency of ductus arteriosus in intrauterine life. So you can see renal system, it is very important for renal system also. You can see here. So renal system, so blood flow from this afferent arteriole in glomerulus. So when blood flow from this afferent arteriole, if blood flows in high quantity from this afferent arteriole, and if these vessels are compressed, then what will happen? More filtrate will go into the renal tubules. That will cause more filtration. That means this is good for health. So more filtration of this filtrate, so kidney will function proper. So purification function of kidney is proper. But what will happen if this is not dilated? What will happen? Less blood will go. No filtration will happen nicely. And that is why these prostaglandins, they actually causes vasodilatation, E and I2 cause ease to this efferent vessel. It will act on this efferent only, not in efferent. So it will cause dilatation. That is why it will increase this renal plasma flow. And if increase renal plasma flow, so kidney function will be proper. If there is no this, so there will not be increase in plasma, there will be decrease in renal plasma flow. So this is also side effect of non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug. If you give it this non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug, people will tell you if you use that non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug in chronic, chronic users of anti-inflammatory drug will cause kidney damage and peptic ulcer. This is the mechanism how it causes kidney damage. So normal condition, this prostaglandin increase renal plasma flow, and in abnormal condition, when it is inhibited, So there is low in renal plasma flow, and if low in renal plasma flow will cause kidney damage. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the leukotrienes synthesis. You can see leukotriene synthesis here. So leukotrienes are synthesized from, I have already explained this, through lipoxygen. Lipoxygen. So lipoxygen, you can see this lipoxygenase pathway. There are two pathways of this lipoxygenase. One is required for synthesis of 5 lipoxygenase is required for synthesis of leukotrienes, and 15 lipoxygenase are required for synthesis of lipoxygen. Can you see? So you don't have to remember anything. Just remember here you can see this is, there is no cycle formation. The compound is open. Only oxygen has been hydroxylated some places, and oxygen has been added because of lipoxygenase. If you see this molecule, this molecule, this is lipoxygen and leukotrienes. So there are difference between lipoxygen and leukotrienes. You don't have to memorize this structure. Just remember one is open and other, if you can see here, can you see these are closed? Please tell
Yes,
me.
sir.
So that is why this is called cyclooxygenase. So oxygenase that will form cycle. These are cycle. That is why these are called cyclooxygenase pathway. The enzyme that will cause formation of cycle are called cyclooxygenase. It will cause oxygenation, and with oxygenation it will form a cycle. So all prostanoids have this cycle, but all lipoxygen and leukotrienes does not have this cycle. That is why this is called lipoxygenase. So remember the basic molecular difference. You don't have to remember the whole structure, the basic molecular differences and where it is synthesized from. So you can see leukotrienes. This is leukotrienes. This is lipoxygen. Lipoxygen is synthesized from 15 lipoxygenases, and leukotrienes are synthesized from this 5 lipoxygenases. And we see ET means icosahexatetraenoic acid. You already know icosahexatetraenoic acid is nothing but arachidonic acid. So HP is hydroperoxy icosahexatetraenoic acid. Here also hydroperoxy icosahexatetraenoic acid. And 12 is for the 12 position where this hydroxylation happens. So hydroperoxylation happens at 12 position. This is called hydroperoxy icosahexatetraenoic acid. Remember this two pathway only, 5 and 15. 5 for leukotrienes and 15 for lipoxygen. So don't remember this. Don't remember this for the timing. 5 and 15. 5 for leukotrienes and 15 for lipoxygen. So you can see here. So there are 5 types of you can see leukotrienes, and you from this also you can remember there are 5 types, and this is 5 types of leukotrienes synthesized by 5 lipoxygenase pathway. 5 types of lipoxygens are these leukotrienes are synthesized by 5 lipoxygenase pathway. Now you can see A and B, they are non-conjugated. Just little bit difference are there. One is actually when you add water, it becomes like this hydroxylase. This is epoxide. That is the difference. You don't have to remember that also. Just remember A and B. And C for conjugation. Remember C for conjugation. And after C, all are conjugated. This is whole tripeptide. One is glutamic acid, glycine, and cysteine. Tripeptide. This is called glutathione conjugation. Glutathione conjugation. This is tripeptide. Glutathione is very important molecule. Glutathione conjugation. Now one is removed. This glutamic acid is removed. This becomes dipeptide conjugation, and this monopeptide. All C, D, E are conjugated. So C for conjugation. After C, all are conjugated. Before C, all are unconjugated. That is the simple things, and these are very active. C, D, E are active. These are active leukotrienes. These are active leukotrienes. Okay, these are active leukotrienes. More active leukotrienes. C, D, E. Conjugated leukotrienes are more active leukotrienes, because this conjugation makes a bit soluble, and then that is why, and a bit more functional. So did you understand this leukotrienes also? A and B non-conjugated, After C for conjugation, after C all are conjugated. So this is the summary of this all prostaglandin synthesis and function. Where you can see this is a very important picture I have taken from a very important textbook. The textbook name is Robbins Pathology. You will study that this textbook after you reach MD3. So this is a very important textbook. I have taken this picture from that textbook, Robbins Pathology. Pathological basis of Robbins and Catron, pathological basis of disease. Now you can see this summary. So phospholipase A2, you can see phospholipase A2 will release this arachidonics. You already know how it is synthesized. And what are the inhibitors? You already know. Now let's see this. So this from this 5-hydroxy tetraenoic acid, what is synthesized? This is leukotrienes are synthesized. Okay, from 5 these leukotrienes are synthesized. From leukotrienes, if you see this 3 leukotrienes C, D, E conjugated, they are very inflammatory. They are actually cause bronchoconstriction. They are responsible for asthma pathogenesis. Pathogenesis of asthma. What is the center for pathogenesis of asthma? This leukotrienes. And this A and B are responsible for chemotaxis. These are responsible for inflammation. These are responsible for, B is responsible for chemotaxis. And this 15 and 12 lipoxygenase will produce lipoxin. These are inflammatory inhibition. This will cause inflammatory inhibition, lipoxins. Now these are prostaglandins. You have already I for inhibition. So vasodilatation, platelet inhibition. Thromboxane clumping. So you can vasoconstriction and platelet clumping. D and E for dilatation and ease. You can see vasodilatation and ease, increased vascularity. So these have inflammatory roles. So in these two inflammatory mediators cause inflammatory roles also through vasodilatation. You know how does inflammatory site has high heat because this inflammatory site vessels are dilated, and thus dilated vessels will pump more blood, and because of dilatation that blood and capillary, what will have? Redness will happen, and because this prostaglandins also irritate that nerve terminal, and that is why there will be pain. So these prostaglandins are responsible for all 5 functions in the inflammation: pain, redness, heat, loss of function, and then swelling. This all when vasodilatation happens, swelling will happen. So this all function will be mediated by this D and E. You can see this dilatation will cause everything. So this is the function of prostaglandins. You have already seen. You can see pain and inflammation will be caused by this. E will cause vasodilatation. I will also cause vasodilatation, and then they will sensitize nerve ending also. That is why there is pain. Dollar is pain, and then more blood flow. That is why more heat, more redness is there, and these are the causes. And this leukotrienes, this B2, I have already explained this. This is a chemotactic factor. So with this, we end the function and synthesis of leukotrienes. Did you understand? Will you memorize the function of leukotrienes? You place I at one place and then D, E, F. I am deaf, so idea. So D for dilatation, E for ease, P for F for force, I is innocent. So will you remember?
Yes.
So, and then inflammation, role of inflammation. This too has very important role in inflammation. And what does they do? Again, they do same way by vasodilatation and by sensitizing that nerve ending. Two are the mechanism. That is how they will do. And my purpose in biochemistry is to explain mechanism, molecular mechanism. How does this act? And that is my purpose. So just tell me this. Can you answer this question? Phospholipase A, C is associated with C protein coupled receptor. So do you know this process? I have already explained in lipid chapter how IP3, this is nothing but IP3 and DAG pathway acts. I have already explained this in smooth muscle contraction. This pathway is very important for smooth muscle contraction. Now you can, which type of bond does phospholipase C breaks? Which type of bond? So let me draw the structure of this phospholipid. This is phospho, this is inositol. So which type of bond does this phospholipase C2 break?
Is it D?
Yes, ester bond. Which ester? Phosphoester bond. This bond here. Okay? Here. Phosphoester bond. So remember, there are two phospholipases. That is why I have put there phospholipase C and phospholipase A2. Phospholipase A2 will act here. The phospholipase C will act here. So remember, this is also ester bond, but which ester bond? Phosphoester bond. This is phosphoester bond. This is phosphoester bond, and this is ester bond. Now, next question. So thromboxane A3 is less potent than thromboxane A2, but prostaglandin I3 is more potent than. So net effect of this is reduction of platelet aggregation. So thromboxane A3 and thromboxane I3 are synthesized from which fatty acid? I told you two series, thromboxane A2, thromboxane I2, prostaglandin I2. These two series are synthesized from this arachidonic acid, and these three series are synthesized by this timnodenic acid. Remember this, very important. And this is more cardioprotective. The prostaglandins that are synthesized from this omega-3 fatty acids are more cardioprotective. And that is why omega-3 fatty acids are more cardioprotective. And these three series are synthesized from this timnodenic. So thromboxane A2 and I2 are synthesized from which fatty acid? This is
A.
arachidonic acid. Now, can you answer this question? 20-year-old female present with joint pain, fever, weakness, easy fatigability, and then she also had butterfly rash on her face. She was diagnosed with SLE. She was put on cortisol therapy. She was educated about the drug by doctor telling that the drug inhibits the membrane-associated enzyme. Which is this membrane-associated enzyme that is inhibited by cortisol? Tell me.
Phospholipase A2.
Yes, phospholipase A2. So what is the true about this enzyme and its action? The enzyme is phospholipase A2, and what is true about its function? So there is only two choices. One of these two choices can be correct.
Is it
E, yes, E. So it will break C2 bond because C2 has unsaturated arachidonic acid, not C1. C1 has saturated fatty acid. So this is the answer. E is the answer.